I think that the seed has been planted, and I really see a future for it. So, so thank you for coming. And Lieutenant Paul knows that whenever there's guests here, I've had legislature and people, I keep the magazine here. Right here.
Mm-hmm.
And I share this with them, and I show them that picture, and he knows. I keep talking about it, and you know, we make this article, and there's another project that we're trying to get someone to come in and do some research, and I'm having a little bit of a challenge with that, but I think that eventually, hopefully, that will occur. And so this is great.
This is like this is his cover from January 2012. Just LA Yoga, just the cover. Robert did the picture.
It's a great shot.
I'm retiring, and this is not out there, but I'm gonna live in Vancouver, Washington. So I hope to start doing yoga.
I'll tell you exactly where to go.
Where?
In Vancouver. I have friends that teach up there.
Okay. Okay. I would like that information.
I will.
I've gone for a week or two here. We bought a house, and I saw this place, but it said hot yoga. So I don't know about that. So I figure, you know what? So, yeah, that's one of the things that I plan to do.
Now, I'm interested to ask you, how did this program come to be here? How did it come to be that you initiated the program?
I used to work at San Quentin,
Okay.
and San Quentin had the program.
Mm-hmm.
But I started looking at the inmates and how they were reacting to it. But I also, with my experience, I have 31 years in the department, and I used to work as an officer. I would see these guys in lockup, and it was kind of like, what are you thinking? What are you doing? And a lot of them do the push-ups and the exercises, but I felt they needed something to release, something where they could isolate themselves. You know how a lot of times at night, you know, you just shut out everything before you go to sleep, and you start thinking of your day, or in the mornings, I exercise, I use a treadmill, weights, and in order to track. And while I'm doing that, I'm thinking, reflecting on what happened and how to solve a problem. So what I learned was the guys that would do that were more calm and really could make better choices by thinking through. Mm-hmm. Not everyone has the ability of doing things analytically and doing your list of pros and cons. But I think we all have the ability of kind of really thinking and getting in tune with us. And I think that once your body is relaxed, you can do that, or you're breathing. Like I said, my plan is to take this, but I do know enough that when I was an officer or in the line and something was going on and it was tenseful, I noticed that if you hold your breath, you know, it created more tension, and it was important to look relaxed. So just common sense. And then, you know, I would hear the doctor say, you know, you're not helping yourself, your neck is tense, you know, you're grinding your teeth, breathe in, breathe out. And it worked. So just little things that if the inmates are a little bit relaxed, the officers relax. And I also seen with when the officers have command and are calm and can articulate, it impacts everybody around them. We tried to get yoga going for the staff too, but I didn't get very far with that idea. But there's hope there. And then when I went to Sierra, as the chief deputy warden, guess what? We started doing yoga.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, saw a difference. Once again, the staff were a little bit, they weren't very supportive initially. They thought it was a girl thing, but it's still going on over there. So when I came here, I figured some of the guys would be open inmates, and they were. And there was a lot of support, and luckily, Muchi came in just in time because we couldn't get anybody to come over here and help us out.
And had he contacted the institution independently, or you found him?
We found him by luck.
It was serendipity. He came here as a recreational therapist, and he just happened to have a yoga background, which was part of the reason that we brought him on board.
Yeah.
But I really think the main thing was that the support of the warden, because there really wasn't there was no support for the yoga program. There's a lot of judgment,
Right.
And I think that custody and the inmates had it alike. The inmates talked about it today. They were saying that, talking about how the guys were out there doing 1,000 burpees a day. They're like, I can't believe you're going to yoga, and they're teasing them. But they made it very clear that the guys who do those workouts, the yoga workout like the one today, is just very humbling. I mean, it's not something that they can breeze through. So it was I don't know that it was a perfect combination it was the perfect storm in a positive way. Things came together and it happened. And you saw from today it had such a positive impact on every one of those guys in that class.
Oh, huge. I mean, you could feel it among the group. You could feel the energy change.
They need something.
Yeah.
And this is the least we can do. So, and also, I like that picture, both of them, because it shows the different races. And also that bottom picture I really like, and I selected for the magazine because it shows among all that chaos, he's able to be in tune with himself. So anyway, I really hope this stays.
It's interesting you made that
It
comment.
will. It will.
It's interesting you made that comment because while he was taking that picture, there were guys in the shower who were taunting him. He didn't care. He was so secure in who he was, and this was his first yoga class ever, and the things he was able to do with his body. There are other poses that are just really, really advanced, but they were teasing him and taunting him, and it just did not affect him at all. So,
You've got it. Yeah. So how did and do you get the word out to the inmates, hey, we have this program that will be of benefit to you?
Martina started, I have some more water. Would you like another one?
I'm good right now, thank you. I might take one in before.
Have you met Martina?
we did this morning on the way in.
Okay, she's fantastic. I drop on her my vision, my dream, and she makes it become a reality. So she's also a very good person.
Mm-hmm.
She's very nurturing.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope this doesn't sound bad. It's not your normal custodial person. That we tend to be a little bit more cold and reserved. So she follow up, and because she's a good communicator, she talks to people, and that's how she's able to draw interest and help us out.
So kind of just getting the word out, and then the inmates talk about it among themselves. It's not like there's flyers up around or anything like that.
Well, we put flyers too,
Oh, there was.
but what happened too is I saw a couple lifers that I know from way back from San Quentin, and I started talking to them, letting them know, hey, this is what I want to start, and they had an interest. They said, yeah, we're open. So then I let Martina know, hey, I talked to the GP lifers, the guys, and they're interested. So then we were trying to get San Quentin's leftovers. They have so many volunteers that I was hoping that one of the yoga people would be willing to come over here. And we were having a hard time with that until this miracle occurred, and they hired this employee, and he's willing to help us out.
Spot on.
So that should be the title of the article, The Perfect Storm, Salinas, Munchi, and Sherman. There you have it. And it was Mr. Munchi has been great in terms of he's been able to get donations to the institution. Robert actually brought some donations to the institution for the yoga class, so that's been really helpful to have the mats, and we've had some other
Right.
donations as well.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So were you about to say something?
No.
So George and I were talking about what I'm very impressed by here is the obvious emphasis on the inherent dignity and humanity of the inmates, which is a very beautiful thing to observe. And that's what I've seen reflected in both of your conversations, and obviously with the implementation of this program. And I'll have to say I'm also surprised, because we talked about that. The media never really emphasizes that. So, yeah.
Well, my last warden's message, I think all my messages, I've talked about communication and kind of being positive. But in my last message, I was a little bit more frank. Have you read it?
Mm-hmm.
And overall, I strongly feel that we all took an oath, and that oath includes making sure that we do our job, and our job is, my job is to make sure that these guys have the right environment, that they're not mistreated, that if some of them will leave, that they leave better, and if somebody doesn't have a date, that we do everything like this and some other volunteer programs that we have, so that at least, this sounds kind of sad, but if they die in prison from old age, the inside has changed. So I want to give them hope in that sense. And today I met with the what's that group name? The group I met earlier, with Martina.
Peacemakers Alliance.
Peacemakers Alliance. I told the guys that a lot of times, especially the lifers, they focus on certificates that they attended this course and that course. I told them the certificate, it's good, but it's not important. What's important is what's in here, and that you have hope, you grow, and that you change, and you reflect on what you've done and what you will do as an individual to change. And all that in this, it's another tool for them. So realistically, with the money and everything going on, there's not a lot of things that I have for them, but this and volunteers and having discussions with them. Every 6 months, I would reflect on my performance as warden, and I would talk to the administrative team and say, how are we doing? I think that I share this with the inmates. They need to do that too.
I think you made a really good point about the dignity, because I think the yoga program for me is really the place most of all where I've seen that reflected, where they feel like the environment is set for it, and they get to feel that within themselves. I really don't know. I mean, we try in mental health, I think, to do it, but oftentimes, it's in a they're cuffed, or they're in a cage, they're in a cell. This is the one time I think they really do get to feel like their full humanity.
Yeah.
So I think that's one thing that really stands out for me about the program.
Yeah. And so I'm anticipating questions that a reader of an article might ask, and one of which is probably, well, okay, do we know, is there any statistical correlation between those inmates? For example, you said you were at San Quentin and there was a program there, who end up on the other side. Do we know anything about yoga? No, there's no.
But
okay.
I don't know if I gave you that letter or I gave it to Martina. I think I should.
You showed me.
From Warden.
Yeah, Yeah, of all the places. I've had my challenges here,
Mm-hmm.
but I received a letter from a person without a name directed to me, and it indicated that he'd been here at DVI about, 30 years ago or something like
Right.
that, and that they had yoga then or something.
Well, the yoga program now, and he was glad that the program was started.
Okay, and he encouraged me to continue, that I was on the right track, something like that. I was impressed, and it really came at a good time, because I don't get that support, and I find my support in the most unusual ways.
Right.
And I always believe in a greater force is protecting me. In one way or the other, something good comes out. So if anything good came out, was that letter from an unknown person that has nothing to gain, giving me support and telling me, you're on the right track, you need to continue. And he even said, that, probably everybody thought it was ridicule or something like that. So that really helped.
And the
if-
gist of his letter was that when he was in the institutions, there wasn't really nothing for him. And then the yoga program and the programs that you've implemented, and she's being very modest. There was only 3 here when she got here, and we have about 20 now. A lot of self-betterment programs, Narcotics Anonymous, Alcoholics, Peacemakers Alliance, Gavel Club. Goes on and on.
I'm
It's a
not
whole
good with
piece of
names or
paper.
numbers, so I forget.
So, but that was the gist of what he was saying in the letter. It's thank you very much for starting something, for somebody to make themselves better, to reflect internally as well as, serving their time, not only serve their time, but to actually have something that'll make them grow. So when they go actually out on back into the streets, they'll have something more so than they did when they came in. And that's what he was thankful for.
Beautiful.
And just to specifically answer your question, Mr. Munchi is a research proposal that he's trying to get approved by the department, and the Warden's Holiness has been very helpful in trying to move it forward. So hopefully it's not too far in the future where we can start bringing a student in from San Jose State University to do a study. We want to do a study right here on the impacts.
Right, because people there's always kind of naysayers, and people they want data, they want to see, yeah. And I'd like to just make an observation, if I may, that I don't want to sound trite, but you're saying about when you retire you want to try yoga. The thing is, you're already doing yoga, because the physical postures is just one part of yoga. Like they would say within the tradition that you guys are all doing what's called karma yoga, which is the yoga of action, because you couldn't. What you're doing is enabling the evolution of a population that society has failed, so to speak, or that otherwise wouldn't get the chance to work on themselves, quote unquote. So, in India, you'd be hailed as a great saint.
I know the word karma, and I believe in that. Tell me if I'm wrong, but growing up in the 60s, I'm 59 and a half. You always hear about karma, but I am a believer of that. If you do evil, it comes back.
Yeah.
And I've talked to the guys about it. When I say the guys, I refer to the inmates.
Yeah.
And to my staff too. And I've seen it, I've seen it as an officer. I talked to the guys today that I learned as an officer, even though if I was scared at San Quentin because I was working in these difficult units, I focused on my job. I focused on my discipline. I did not let my fear take over. And eventually, because I was taking care of my business, if the inmate had clothing due, a visit, I'd make sure that would be taken care of. I was how you say, brother's keeper? That's,
Mm-hmm.
so I took that oath seriously, and then I started noticing that I wasn't getting problems from the other inmates. And what I figure is, these guys are letting the other guys, hey, knock it off, and I would hear it. So they would kind of leave me alone. I had a reputation of doing my job. Yeah, granted, I was assaulted, but to me, it wasn't anything personal. Those guys were crazy. But it wasn't because I did something wrong. It was because I was at the wrong place. And then the way I look at it, I was glad it was me instead of someone else, because I felt I was mentally strong to take that. So I didn't realize now how everything really connects.
Mm-hmm.
And I always talk about that, about work, but to me.
She's such a cool warden. I said that last time. That's all I can think.
So do you want to do a shot? Do you want to do something inside? Do you want to do?
Yeah, inside's good.
Is there, unless there's any spot that you really want to?
Yeah, and we could do more than one. I'm going to turn this. Well, I made a shirt, and it's for charity to be able to keep doing the project. And I don't know if you'll wear it maybe around the house or anything, but it's of the
that's
picture that you
cool.
like, and then it's got a quote from a U2 song on the back.
That's nice. Very nice. And that's my favorite photo.
And I asked Mr. Munshi if he was back, Kenyatta, because I liked him. And he said no, and I was upset for a second, but then when I thought about it, I thought, if he was back, he'd be back in prison, so I was happy for him.
Right. And I hope this gave him a new beginning where he sought out some yoga places or connected with the right people. Thank you.
Thank you for making this happen. It's really, the public has been extremely responsive to it and just loves that something good is happening.
And like I said, you're doing that. When I get people, I show it, and I'm going to leave it there. And I'm sure that Ron and Paul will continue, and that picture staying here. I'm going to take that, put that over there, so it will always be part of DVI.
All right. Cool.